Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Live from Studios B3. I'm Spencer Brinkerhoff III. That's why there's an SB and a 3 in the name of this little program. We are continuing on with our interviews with the Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017 artists, and we are having a fantastic time. It is almost time for Celebration. There are so many artists that are out there, and so many that everyone has been so busy, and so I'm so thankful that everyone was able to jump in and take a little bit of time out of their busy schedule to talk to us. Today, I'm calling all the way across the country to Florida, where Celebration will be happening today, to talk with Stephen Hayford. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Spencer. Thanks a lot.
Wait a second. I hold on. Let me flip over to another screen here. I've got a picture of you on the screen with your name, and it doesn't quite match what I'm looking at right now. What's going on with the beard here? Is this
Oh,
a
man.
new look? Is it I don't know what to call
It's an
that.
accidental new look.
Really?
When I get sick, I don't shave. That's just the last thing I want to do. And I had pneumonia for 3 weeks. And so I didn't shave, and it was the first time that I had a full beard. And I thought, okay, well, I'll nurture this a little bit. So now it's been 5 weeks. I think I'm going to keep it until Celebration, and then when we get home, I'm shaving.
So Celebration photos, you'll be incognito, and Facebook will not be able to do any sort of auto tagging on any of your pictures. You're
Yeah,
good to go, right?
that's right.
Now, speaking of Celebration, you're back in the Celebration Art Show again. Is this your third or your fourth time in the show?
This is my third time in the show, fourth time accepted. Unfortunately, at the last minute, I couldn't go to London.
Oh man! So what
Yeah,
happened to that London concept artwork? Did it get reused into another piece, or what happened
it's
to it?
it's still in a holding pattern, and it was a Force Awakens piece, and I love it,
Yeah.
but it's still like in limbo what it will be used for.
That's awesome. Now, I remember one time we were talking about the different celebration piece that you were working on, and sort of one of the things that you were doing is that in addition to your celebration piece, you had some other pieces that you were going to have at the show. Now, it makes perfect sense to me. Star Wars, in my mind, not only is it this movie, it is action figures, it's toys. I mean, my mom hunted all over to get that initial pack, the Luke Skywalker, the Promise Box, that didn't have any of the figures in it. And
The early
so,
version.
in addition to doing your celebration art piece, are you doing some promotional pieces for any of the manufacturers or anyone else? Are there some other pieces that people are going to be able to grab there, or is it secret?
That is a great question, and
Look at the ponderous.
the funny thing is that it's probably secret only until tomorrow or the next day.
Wow. Well,
But yes,
as
there
we're
will be,
excellent.
and there will be three.
3 new pieces.
Yes, and
Now,
that's
can you say where people might be able to find these, or is it just it'll wait for an announcement, in the next day or so?
they'll be able to find it at the convention. But
Oh, you're so
and
sneaky.
and I'm not sure how close to the art show they'll be able to find them,
Right, right,
since people have been looking at the vendor maps and everything now.
right.
But they will be there. We just got approvals yesterday, so announcements will probably come tomorrow or the day after.
That's amazing. Congratulations on being able to
Thank you.
not only contribute to the Celebration Art Show, but then contribute in other ways as well. And I think I saw a Celebration advertisement pop up on Facebook today, and it was the Jyn Erso action figure. I'm pretty sure anytime I see a posed action figure now, I'm thinking, oh, that's Steven. He did that, right? Now, did you do that? Did you see that one?
Well,
Or
well, I was surprised by the same thing. It was an ad for Walmart,
okay.
and it was my Rogue One poster that I did for London for Hasbro, and it's showing up on the Walmart ad. You click on it, and it takes you to the Walmart page for all the Rogue One stuff they have on sale.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty great.
Now, I've talked about this in some other interviews, so just to briefly touch on this again. Well, I'll start by asking the question, then we'll go into the style book or the style guide. Yeah, style guide. Do you get paid every time that piece shows up on a Walmart ad?
No.
No.
And that's the thing with licensed properties, that most of our work is flat rate.
Right.
Until unless there are special uses with the licensees, you have agreements for if it's used in another way, then you would get an additional fee. But for the most part, once it becomes part of the archive, it's there for use.
Right. And then what happens is any of those licensors that have, the opportunity to work with Lucasfilm, as they're advertising their product or they're making a T-shirt or they're doing something, they can go into the style guide, look at the approved artwork and say, I want to use that piece. And so
Exactly.
That's how it shows up over and over again.
Right. But it's not like Brian Rood where, you walk down every aisle in the store and you see bed sheet, bath towel, and lunchbox.
Right. Well, we'll talk to him about that and see what he thinks about his artwork being so prevalent.
And you have to tell him. I feel like I see him every day because when I go through the store and I see someone, I say, "Hey, Brian."
So, if are you saying that maybe you're not going to buy anything new from Brian Rood? You're just going to bring some of the packaging in from your toys and just have him sign that? Is that
That's
the plan?
right? And then I'm just going to turn around and put it on eBay. So.
Nice. Well, now speaking of your toys, I was talking a little bit with Joe Caroni, and we were joking about being able to write off some of his action figure purchases as sort of like business expenses. But for you, it's a given. Everything that you're doing is photography based. And I'm going to switch over to this other camera here. Over your right shoulder, I am seeing one of the sets. And oh my gosh, is that blue snaggletooth back there? That's a 12-inch guy, isn't it?
That's my favorite recollection from my childhood piece.
Wow.
So when Gentle Giant came out with the jumbo figures and they came out with blue snags, I was like, I have to have that, because that was when I got that Sears set of the 4 Cantina creatures.
Right.
Blue Snaggletooth was my favorite. He went with me everywhere.
Now, the blue snaggletooth in the smaller, the 3 3/4 sizes, was he the rare one, and the red one was more common? Okay.
Correct, because the blue one was only available in the Sears cardboard Cantina set.
Okay.
And I still have him. He's got nearly no silver on his boots anymore, but he was a very cherished toy.
And that lack of silver on the boots is because you snuggled him every night, and tucked him into bed with you. So
he had some serious conflicts with Greedo all throughout the day.
Oh, yes.
So he needed the snuggling
I remember.
at the end.
Those guys never got along.
That's right.
Now, one of the things that is super unique about what you're doing for your celebration art pieces and the other work that you do is that you are a photographer. And in addition to being a photographer, you're a diorama builder. And so we're looking at that over your shoulder. And is that the actual set that you used for this celebration piece?
Correct.
So I'm going to go to you talk about it, and I'm going to go to another picture and show it your art print larger. Let me do this really quick. All right, I'm going to zoom in on this.
I first built this set for the Hasbro poster that I did for Celebration London, which had Jyn Erso beating down the stormtroopers.
Right.
It was from a different angle. So, and this is the great thing about the position I'm in. I'm one of the few artists that's trusted with confidential materials before the movie comes out. And so all the reference, they sent me, all these set photos.
Okay.
And a few people realized that the set where Jyn was beating on the stormtroopers is the same set where Chirrut was beating down his group of stormtroopers, getting help from base. So after I realized that with the set photos, I thought, well, I can use this for a lot more material. And so photograph it from a different angle.
Right.
And perfect opportunity to take advantage of that relationship between shirt and base.
And I'm examining it a little bit. It's not flipped at all. That is the exact same angle and everything. It's right there. I'm looking at, there's a little box over to the right-hand side of the door. There's some other pieces that are sort of like hanging down in front of the art print that I don't see in your reference. So tell us a little bit about sort of like staging the shot. So well, man, I have so many questions. I love this stuff. So you set it up, and I think that we were initially talking about getting sort of like online to do this Skype call, you said, I hope that the lighting is okay for the Skype call because the lighting that's in the background is set up to take these shots, and I can't move it because we need to have. So you're on a live set right now. Filming in progress now, but the building is right close to the edge. Do you do something to extend it? Do you move another table in there? Do you pick that one up and move it to another place? How do you put it all together?
So when I'm actually, because this is kind of like a holding area. This area right here I use for small scenes. So if I was going to do like a detail shot of someone on the bench, right, then I would feel free to set up here, no problem. But for the print that I did for Celebration, the print that I did for Hasbro with Jin, those were set up in another location, and the set was actually, fully built out with other pieces. It was 5 feet by 7 feet. So quite a big area.
Yeah, how big is your workspace down there? Do you have multiple projects? Because I'm also seeing there's a black curtain behind you too. Are you being secretive?
Oh, wow.
What's that? I'm like, I want the wind to come in and like maybe knock something down. We'll get another exclusive reveal here, right?
Sometimes I have exclusive and pre-production materials that can't be revealed. And this gets really tough sometimes because I work from home.
Yeah.
I made it when I decided to pursue my art full time. I did not want to rent a space to work from because I followed my dream of focusing on my art full time after my heart surgery.
Right.
And it was like after my heart surgery, the last thing I want to do was be cooped up in a small windowless room. So I decided I want to work from home. I want to be able to build my dioramas poolside.
Right.
And it's been great. But one of the issues is I do receive a lot of confidential materials, products, reference material, and I have to hide it. Not just from like people who stop by, but my family sometimes. Sometimes the non-disclosure agreements are that specific.
Right. Let me point out that in general practice, we don't keep secrets from our family. But when it deals with Star Wars, sometimes the guys, the black suits and the Darth Maul ties, those guys you don't want to show them up on the doorstep.
That's right. And if they show up, my kids are the first ones I would point to. Hey, she did it.
Right. Exactly.
Take her away.
Why else have kids if we can't get them to work for us and then blame them on stuff?
That's right.
So then, no hints at all of what might be behind the curtain there. We're talking about
a property. I love my relationship with my clients.
Okay.
I'm never going to sacrifice that.
Excellent.
Not even for you, Spencer.
No, you know what? And that's the thing is that I am so happy that you have found a way and found a place to utilize your art skills to grow and to learn and to like develop this new thing. Do your photography, all of this stuff, and you're making a living out of it. Fantastic. I would never do anything in the world to jeopardize that relationship. So you can tell me in just a minute. I'll turn off the camera. No, I'm just kidding. Now that's awesome. So let's talk about like your actual celebration piece. I'm going to flip over to it for a second again. The title of this one is That's What Friends Are For. And we have our two main rogues here, I almost said Blaze and Chirrut, and they're surrounding my stormtroopers. Now, Are you doing any sort of like photography tricks where you're filming one stormtrooper and then adding him multiple times? Or do you have a whole slew of troopers just ready to put into play?
I have about 10 troopers that I have ready. In fact, I have um, another group of troopers that are danger troopers, ones that I know that
Danger?
I can cut,
Oh,
drill, put holes in. Um,
expendable. The
yes,
expendables.
yes. And then I have a group of 10 that can be posed
Right.
without getting damaged. But so yeah, I have a lot to work with.
And how do you feel about the stock articulation? Are you doing anything to sort of like manipulate the character so that you can get different poses or move them around in different ways? Or you do anything to change them?
With these 6-inch figures, most of the articulation is there enough for me to make all the poses I need work. There are many cases where I need a head to turn a little more. I need it to tilt back a little more.
Right.
Then I'll do some modifying, and I've been given the freedom to do that. So I will shave down some body parts so I can get a little more flexibility. Um,
Oh, if it was
I,
only that easy. I
yeah,
could shave down some of my body parts and improve my flexibility. I'm down. I'm there. Yeah.
trust me, I've been trying that for a long time.
I saw a thing the other day about ways to be happy, different ways to be happy. And one of the things on the list was get a dad bod.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I'm so happy. I'm good.
yeah. I was gonna say ways to be happy. Never turn down a Klondike.
Yes,
That makes
happiness.
sense.
So
Yeah,
sometimes you are shaving down the characters, you're changing them just a little bit, but for the most part, what they're doing in your shots is pretty much what people can do. Do you feel like you need to stay true to that sort of like, the action figure can do this and you can do it with your action figure? Is there some of that, like not a flying toy,
yeah.
Do you ever feel like you need
It
to be true to it?
it depends on the use. If I'm doing something that's going to be used for product advertisement,
Uh-huh.
yes.
Okay.
If I'm doing something that's artwork that involves the toys, no. But what I do uh, always strive to stay true to is how would a human in a costume pose
Huh.
like that? So, um, so little subtle wrist movements,
Right?
little subtle neck movements, like it all has to be. Would a human in a costume be able to do that?
Right.
So that's really my goal uh, when I do it. Just because I really pride myself in the subtlety of gestures, and not overacting the figures.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always based on how would a human look in that pose.
And did you apply that to some of the troopers who were on the ground here? Did you sort of like look at the film and go, well, this guy just got hit in the head and he went left to right? Or, I mean, do each one of these stormtroopers have a backstory about how they were beat down?
That really is a great question, because I do go through that a lot. It's okay, what angle was he, which way was he running into the scene when he got
Right.
hit? Was he looking out for did he just see his buddy go down and he was looking after him when he got hit? So I do think about those things. It's crazy, and I can't always admit it to people because they are toys, but it's true. I
Wait,
do.
wait a second. I can see it now. You're in your basement playing with action figures and going, well, he's going to march in from this side and he's going to get hit and he's going to spin. Are you making sound effects at the same time as they're fighting around?
Now, when I talk to other people, I just say pew pew.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when I'm by myself, it's like pew pew.
Yes.
I'm very serious about
The proper resonance.
Yes. Yeah, it's great, and especially when you're working with toys for so long and by yourself. Any artist goes through some isolation sickness,
Yeah.
but when your art is dealing with little people, you do find yourself
Talking
talking
to
to
them?
them. I've never seen
Oh, I
another
know.
artist like talk to a tube of paint.
Right.
But yeah, I find myself yelling at the
Thank you.
troopers when they fall
Thank you,
over.
Burn Umber. I love you, Burn Umber. Just the right shade.
Yeah.
Now, one of the other things that I notice about your artwork that really sort of like sells it as sort of like this dimensional piece and not just, a toy or child, you take into consideration your angles. You really are looking at it from sort of like a human eye, which is interesting because in cinematography, we try and change things up and break things apart and get down low or up high and move things around. How are you sort of like, do you feel like you're limited in your angle, that it will look too much like a toy, or how do you capture sort of like that reality within the angles? Or how are you playing with that cinematography element?
A lot of that comes from my photojournalism experience, because I spent more than 20 years working with newspapers and magazines, and covering some difficult situations.
Right.
Most of the time, I approach the dioramas when I'm photographing them like, okay, if I just had gotten out of my car and walked up to the scene, how would I photograph it?
Right.
And so I put myself in that position every time I'm coming up with my compositions. What would it be like if I was there documenting it?
Right.
And so I always approach it from that perspective.
Right. So this is like a crime scene photographer thing, right? My goodness.
Right.
Oh, we've come full circle.
That's right. I mean, the shot after my print,
right,
putting up the yellow tape all around the area.
Exactly. Now, tell me a little bit about some of the atmospheric effect. I've seen a wonderful photographer that I believe he's a French photographer. I'm not sure if I've got it right, but he's done some Lego like Hoth environments, and he's shooting in an aquarium, to get some like baking powder, or I don't know what he's doing. So you have a very striking sort of like lighting and smoke and atmospheric effect. How does that happen? I mean, because a camera takes the picture and it's gone. So, but that atmosphere is always in motion. Is that alive, or is that sort of something that you get to manipulate after the piece has been captured?
I do it in camera for the most part.
Wow.
Because now sometimes it'll mean like I like the fog in this image or the smoke in this image, and I like it in this corner on this other image. And sometimes I'll have to bring them together in the same picture.
Right. Get the best of those both, right?
Right. But I love playing with a fog machine.
Okay.
And
I was hoping you weren't going to say a cigar.
Yeah, no, God, no. And so I have a small fog machine that can fit into some pretty tight spaces, but I will set that up in front of a fan. So as the fog is coming out, a fan will diffuse it, so it hazes. It's an old theater trick,
right?
Hazing, where it's just to like give the illusion of distance. Now, when it's coming into a scene full on, you'll get those wisps that look like smoke, and that's like in the print. I wanted that to happen so it looks like it's the remainder of blaster smoke getting caught in sun poking through the canopy.
Right.
And
we see that up at the top. There's sort of like there's one piece that's sort of hanging down. I don't know what that is, like a chandelier type of a piece. And there's some swirls right around that are getting hit by the light wonderfully.
Yeah, and that's what, that was the thing. Watching the trailers, I did not realize that there were canopies all through that alleyway.
Oh, right.
And they have text on them and everything, but that's what I discovered when I saw the production photos.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is great, because it just gave me a whole different way to photograph it, with light poking through the holes, adding atmosphere. So it was great to learn that was how it was set up.
And something else I'm picturing right now. I'm loving this conversation. I'm loving talking to you about this. So I'm picturing you playing with the action figures, setting the stage. You've got a little tiny fan. Is it a small fan, like a computer type fan, so it's smaller, or a large fan?
It's a small fan, but it is powerful.
Okay. So that's blowing in this mist across the scene, and you've got your camera set up. You've set your depth of field, and you're looking at it, and then you just go, click. There it is. It's like Deb from Napoleon Dynamite, right? When she was doing the glamour shots. Right.
And then there's other tricks I do too with like compressed air cans that you use for like cleaning a
Oh, right.
computer keyboard.
Yeah.
Well, I use that to kick up sand, for using footsteps and everything.
Okay.
So when a character is running, they're in a running pose, I'll use that compressed air to kick up sand behind them. Now, when I was doing the other Rogue One poster for Hasbro, there was a lot of that in the scene.
The sand
And
kicking up?
Right. And it was middle of summer. It was hot. I was sweaty. And I'm kicking up all the sand. I came out of there looking like sandpaper, because I'm covered with all this grit. And you see painters covered with paint.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have
you're neck deep in your craft is what that is.
That's right. That's right.
Now, when they're making a movie and they're building a set, that's like, for a certain location for a scene, when it's done, that set usually gets torn down and sort of like they move on because they've got a lot of things. What happens to your dioramas? What happens to your sets? Because, it takes up a lot of space. Are they built to last? Or are there pieces available? I don't know. What happens to the sets when you're all done?
I build in two different ways. It depends on a client's budget. If a client wants a display diorama, that thing is built to be bomb-proof.
And that's an Edison one. Is that the one that you did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I did Thomas Edison's botanical lab for a museum, and that thing, you can bump into it. Nothing's going to happen to it.
Where's that living right now? Where's that at?
Fort Myers, Florida.
Okay.
And things like that take a whole different way of engineering. It's a lot more time consuming, so it's a lot more expensive.
Right.
When I do sets for photos, if you walk around the back, it's all duct tape and cardboard and bubble gum. So
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain,
But I build everything sectionally,
right,
so that it can be broken apart and stored away. Now, because so much of what I do can be reused for other scenes.
Oh, right.
I do hold on to everything.
Okay.
And so you don't want to go into my garage. Well, fans want to go into my garage. But for the most part, if friends come over and they go into the garage,
right,
the first thing they want to do is call 911 for a hoarder attack.
Nice. That's awesome.
One friend saw the garage door open, and I heard her yell from the driveway, "Oh my God, you're one of those hoarders."
Nice. Now, have you ever, I think I might have asked you this last celebration interview, is have you ever thought about bringing like a piece of the diorama with you to the show and have out on the table, and like, I'm just thinking about this hilarious opportunity for a photo op. You can get your action figures picture taken in front of the actual location.
Yeah.
Have you thought about bringing out any set pieces, to show off, the scale or the size or anything like that?
Yeah, I stopped thinking about that years ago when I had an exhibit that I used a diorama, and there were some people there, like adults. They just can't stop themselves from touching.
Oh.
And it was nearly destroyed by the end of the exhibit. And so, yeah, that kind of cured me from wanting to bring pieces. But
some kids' parents.
Yeah. But I have decided to bring some small props.
Oh, awesome.
And just to have on the table. Because if you remember a few years ago, I had my Trooper Break print with the stormtroopers on break.
Right.
There was
is there arcades and stuff like that?
Right. And there was one stormtrooper reading a newspaper, sitting in a chair. Well, I brought that to put on the table, and people loved getting their picture taken with it because they hadn't realized that it was so small.
Right. And
they didn't realize the newspaper was real.
Right.
That I had made the actual little prop for the photo.
Now,
so,
I wonder if you something else that just popped in my head is that I think that with your background at your art table there in the art show, that you can go ahead and hang some stuff on it. You might even think about getting like a shadow box and sort of like putting it in the shadow box. So that way it's up and it's out of the way so that people can see it, but they're not going to interact with it too much because it's framed in on the wall.
Right.
You never know. You never know. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I love miniatures. I love the hobby, and I love everything that you do. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'm so glad that you're feeling well and you're looking so shaggy. I mean, it's working.
Thank you. I like the Wolfman Jack look going.
The what?
Yeah,
the who? The
Wolfman? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh,
Man, I'm just kidding. I know the reference.
Yeah, because think about there's so many people now that if you said there's no way they know, but luckily most are Lucas fans and at least have seen American Graffiti and understand this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, your print is available right now for pre-sale, but pre-sale is almost done because Celebration's right around the corner. Tell us the size of your art print and the cost of that.
It is 16 by 24, and it is $40.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And if people want to get a hold of you and follow some more of your adventures, what's the best way for them to follow or keep track of what you've got going on?
Facebook, Stephen Hayford Plastics. Instagram, I'm fairly new to Instagram, and so I haven't really quite figured it out yet.
Okay.
But I'm there, and it's Stephen Hayford Plastics there as well. So those are two great places to try and interact, ask questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And again, I'm just happy to talk to you. And if people want to get a hold of you, you can grab them on Facebook. I also put down a little plug here for Hayford Photo on Twitter. Does that still work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Good deal. Well,
excellent.
And I'm Spencer Brinkerhoff III. You can follow me on Spencer B3. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And I'm having a great time talking to the Celebration artists and looking forward to seeing what comes next and the big announcement for new art pieces in the next day or so. Stephen, thank you for coming by and talking with me today.
Absolutely. Always love talking to you, Spencer.
You betcha. See you later, man. Bye.
Bye.